Hi, welcome to another BTN reaction. I'm not reacting to a trailer this time. I'm reacting to a piece of news, which pretty much every Doctor Who fan on the internet has said something about, and so I thought I'd talk about this. So the news story is that Steven Moffat, after 6 years as the showrunner to Doctor Who, is stepping down and handing over to Chris Chibnall as the showrunner and producer. So why don't I give my thoughts on Steven Moffat's era. I think people are generally very, very hard on him. He's probably the most controversial producer they've ever had on Doctor Who, probably tied with John Nathan Turner from the 80s. One thing I will say is, I don't think he's ruined Doctor Who. Loads of people think, oh my god, he's ruined it. No, he hasn't ruined it. I might be looking back on the Matt Smith era with rose-tinted glasses, because that was when I started watching it, and then I went back, watched David Tennant, Chris Eccleston, and then the classic series. So I might be looking back at it with some level of nostalgia, but I think that is probably Steven Moffat's best series, because it's simple, and I think that's what Steven Moffat does best. He does best with simple storylines. The ability to make something so small seem so big, and I think that's what he was best at. He was a huge Doctor Who fan before he was a writer. There's a famous picture of him reading a Doctor Who book from the 70s as a kid. So he was a huge fan, and the chance to take over and decide everything about Doctor Who is probably the best experience a Doctor Who fan could have. So the problem was, he's the head writer. He shouldn't decide everything that happens in the Doctor Who mythology. He didn't create Doctor Who. He took over after a long line of producers like Verity Lambert, John Nathan Turner, Russell T Davies. So I think what happens is he puts his own ideas before the entire show. In Hellbent, he basically used Gallifrey mythology just as a way to bring Clara back. Really, Gallifrey was built up for years. 3 years now it was since the Day of the Doctor. It was basically a tool. That's what it was used for. It was just a tool to bring Clara back, and you shouldn't do that to something with that big a mythology. You can't just use it for your own purposes. So I don't hate Steven Moffat. As a person, I think he's great. At the Doctor Who Festival, I went to a Meet the Writers little bit, and he's great on stage. I think in interviews and everything, I think he's hilarious, and he clearly understands Doctor Who. He clearly cares. There's loads of people who think he just doesn't care. I don't think that's true, really. I think he genuinely cares about Doctor Who. He loves this show, and I suppose he's a Doctor Who fan who just sort of went mad with power. That's the best way to put it. He just had the power to do anything, and he just did whatever he wanted, and and you shouldn't really do whatever you want. You need guidance and everything, which is why I think there should be 2 showrunners. One that writes the episodes, the other that works on the storylines. That's how I would do it, because you have to discuss with one another whether they'd be good ideas. Something similar to Robert Holmes and Philip Hinchcliffe from the classic series. Robert Holmes would come up with the storylines, and basically Philip Hinchcliffe would figure out how they would get it to work and whether it'd be successful. So I do like the Moffat era. I think that the Matt Smith era entirely is an experiment to see if these type of storylines could work. Whether they did is a debate we could go on for years, but at least he tried something different. I think every year he tries something. He tries to shake it up a bit. With Series 5, it was his first series, so it was shaking things up by introducing the 11th Doctor. Series 6, he started shaking things up by creating a very intricate and complicated storyline. For Series 7, he tried doing everything standalone. For Series 8, he had to introduce Peter Capaldi and a new tone. And with Series 9, again, he was experimenting with more storytelling methods. So, Series 9, I think, is probably his weakest. I don't hate Series 9, but it was... I think everyone seems to agree that it was somewhat of a disappointment. I don't think it's terrible. I think the... I guess I'm just more... I was more disappointed by it than actually hating it. But I think, basically... I think it's a good idea that he... I'm glad that Steven Moffat actually understood that he's not a perfect writer and that the show does need a new tone and style. He loves this show. He wants to... if he could, he'd probably write it forever, but at some point or another, every writer's going to have flaws or write a few bad episodes. So I like the Moffat era. Not everything about it, of course, but it is still good television. It is still a interesting era of the show, and think about how we're going to look back on it. We're going to look back on it, I'm sure, with Russell T Davies. When he started off, everyone loved him. Then around the specials, people started to criticise his work a lot more. And then during the Moffat era, loads of people were like, oh yeah, he's... I love Steven Moffat, and Russell T Davies was terrible. And now suddenly, it's cool to love Russell T Davies. It's an odd cycle. But I think that'll happen with Chris Chibnall. I'm sure Chris Chibnall will find his own little repeated ideas, and probably in like 4 or 5 years' time, I'll be back here saying the same thing. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of Doctor Who. It's supposed to change constantly. It's a changing universe. The Doctor changes, the tone changes. Every episode you go somewhere different, and I think that's the general idea of why everyone loves Doctor Who, because it can be different every week. So let's talk about Chris Chibnall. Now, I haven't seen his episodes in a long time. He wrote 42, Hungry Earth, Cold Blood, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, and The Power of Three. I like Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. 42 has a bit of a mixed start, but does have a pretty good second half. But with Chris Chibnall, I think he's a good choice. I wasn't expecting him to get the job, really, because he hasn't written for about 4 years. He hasn't written for 4 years, and I was expecting it to be like Mark Gatiss or someone like that, because Mark Gatiss, Steven Moffat, best friends. They wrote Sherlock together. They are the best of friends, so it would make more sense that he would get the job. But it was more just I was surprised they picked Chris Chibnall, because he's not really the most praised Doctor Who writer. Because with Steven Moffat, when he was the showrunner, everyone loved his work. Like, every year, people would rate his episodes like 10 out of 10. But Chris Chibnall, like, he's not really had that level of praise, but I guess that makes this series 11 more unpredictable, because we don't know what he's capable of. But on the subject that the series 10 is going to be in spring 2017, I don't mind. Seriously. Okay, yeah, it's going to be a very long wait. I think this is the longest we've had to wait for a series of Doctor Who since last year. Still, would you rather wait 2 months for a rushed series or a whole year for a perfect one? That's how I put it. I'm not saying series 10 is going to be perfect, since it's not going to start filming till spring, which I believe that's when Michael Pickwood said it would begin filming. Since it's not going to begin filming till around spring or summer, that gives them even more time to read through scripts, do redrafts, to perfect them, to re-edit the episodes, to go over everything and make sure everything's perfect, everything makes sense, and just deliver us 12 or 13 amazing episodes. Also, what people are wondering about is Peter Capaldi staying on for Series 11? What I think they should do is, because this year all we're going to get is the 8 episodes of Class and the Christmas special. So that's 9 Doctor Who related material coming out. I think what they should do is, with the spin-off Class, have the Doctor appear in an episode. It could be the finale, or probably the finale would be best. Like, you could do something like that, have Peter Capaldi show up, have him show up as a more distant Doctor, and then of course we'll have the Christmas special, and then we'll get Series 10. So I think they should do that just so it doesn't feel like such a huge gap for his Doctor. So overall, I'm very happy with this news. I was waiting for news like this for ages. I was really hoping that Steven Moffat would announce that he's leaving. Not because I hate him, but because I think it's time. And Chris Chibnall looks to be a good choice. I'm really looking forward to where he takes the show in 2018, which is the 55th anniversary year, so maybe he'll do a special as his finale. But on the subject of it not airing till 2017, I'm somewhat annoyed by that, but still, I hope it'll be something like The Trial of the Time Lord, because I bought The Trial of the Time Lord box set. I've been watching it this week, and it's really good. Basically, for those you didn't know, when Trial of the Time Lord came out, Doctor Who had an 18-month hiatus, and so what they did was they decided to take that 18-month hiatus to rethink the show, see what they could do differently, and they came out with a much improved series. So hopefully Series 10 can be like that, an improved series that can win over some new fans, and then end Moffat's era with a bang and make way for a new era and possibly a new Doctor. I hope you enjoyed this little reaction to the news, and I hope to do more reactions to these type of things, not just reactions to trailers. What are your thoughts on Steven Moffat leaving? Do you think Chris Chibnall will make a good showrunner? Are you happy that it's been delayed, or do you hate that it's been delayed? You can write in the comments, and I'll see you with whatever my next video will be. Goodbye.